Hello, everyone. My name is Corey with Kurzweil Education. I'll be doing another introduction when we get to the 1 p.m. Eastern Time and 10 o'clock from where we're broadcasting here in Tucson. But at this point, I will point out to the attendees, if you see your chat, if you have a question, there's two buttons over to the right that you could choose. One is questions or one is chat, and you can make sure that you're chatting to everybody in the audience, those that may have the same question that you have. And we'll just, we had almost 100 people sign up. We don't expect 100, but we'll wait till 10 o'clock to get started so that everybody has a chance to join the webinar. And just so to make sure you're at the right webinar, you signed up for the right one, we're going to be doing a webinar on how to implement test taking, remote test taking using PDFs or Word documents, and kind of showing the difference between how those work. This would also be relevant to homework assignments that you wanted to present to your students in PDF format. I'm going to send to everyone my email address. So if you have a question or you want a more detailed webinar, I will make sure that you can email me, and then I'll get you your correct Kurzweil representative to provide some additional help. And Shaughn Nelson from Kurzweil will be going through this, about 15-20 minutes. So we don't want to dive too much into the weeds, but if you want some more specific help, we'll make sure you get that as well. And this session is being recorded. So if you wanted to share this with colleagues, the recording has been going on. There'll be 10 minutes at the beginning of the webinar but just a little bit of chatting I've done in silence. So you maybe want to let people know that you can fast forward 8-10 minutes to get to the start of the webinar. somebody say hello from New Orleans. So if you want to share in the chat or in the questions tab where you're attending from, people find that interesting. Wait just a few more minutes to officially get started. Lots of people are still jumping in. People are rolling in pretty quickly right now. It's good to see. And from the questions section, we've got from all over the United States. It's nice to see. So we're going to get started now. In way of introduction, my name is Corey Navas, General Manager of Kurzweil Education. Shaughn Nelson, who is a representative for Arizona and California and Nevada, will be performing the presentation. Last week, we started with what we call the Kurzweil 101. And since people have been working remotely, we've been providing weekly webinars on how to work remotely with Kurzweil, and we got a lot of requests to do a 101 for maybe educators that have not been exposed to Kurzweil. And we did that last week. We had great attendance on that. And then now for successive weeks till the end of May, we'll be providing webinars that go a little bit deeper into Kurzweil and how to maybe perform some specific functions that are going to be valuable for this time. And as it looks now, we're not quite certain how long people are going to be working remotely and students will be learning remotely. But Kurzweil accomplishes the ability to provide that remote instruction. And when students return to school, they can you can still use Kurzweil as your test taking in this instance or providing worksheets and reading materials. This particular topic is testing help, PDFs and print. So Shaughn is going to be demonstrating how to take a Word document or take a PDF, the difference in how those two platform, those two digital documents interact with Kurzweil. I'll be trying to monitor all the questions you might have. And if you want to use the questions section or the questions tab or the chat tab, we'll monitor both of those. But if we don't get to one of your questions, we will capture all the questions and provide a personal response to your question. I also, if you look in the chat, I put my email. And if you want to dive in a little bit deeper with Kurzweil than what this webinar provides, I'll make sure I find you your Kurzweil representative that can schedule a follow-up webinar with you as well. Feel free to email me too if you have additional Kurzweil questions that maybe don't place themselves well in this particular presentation. So with that, I am going to hand off controls to Shaughn Nelson and we will get started. And just as a reminder, this is being recorded and will be sent out to all attendees upon the conclusion of the recording.
Good morning, all. Hello. Thank you for being here. All right. In regard to our talk agenda, we're going to go review these Kurzweil 3000 test taking. Corey, there seems to be some feedback.
Let me mute myself.
Is that better? I do not hear the feedback. Thank you. So we're going to go through the difference between a PDF and a doc testing, loading a PDF, tools, highlighters, lining out, circle, text box, fill in the answer, save and return, locking a document. I'll share with how this is also done on our video in our academy and some Q&A. So in short, the difference between a PDF and a doc from Kurzweil's perspective, a document does have elements that I can fill in. So for example, if it is question and then fill in the answer and there's underline of some kind, the formatting will change. Therefore, the spacing may change as the page is answered down and further down the line, and it does look different. If you can have that document changed to a PDF, that may be the better solution due to you're not adjusting the other questions or the other formatting. Corey, did I miss anything on that? I think it's very important we hit that correctly.
Yeah, you said it correctly. I'm trying to put it just in a slightly different way is if you bring in a Word document, Kurzweil treats it as a text document. So if you're providing an answer, the line spacing will get longer and it will adjust the test, whereas a PDF will come in as an image. And that way, Shaughn will demonstrate this, it won't change any of the formatting of the test.
Perfect, thank you. I knew you had a better way to say it. All right, I'm gonna let you go ahead. We're gonna be loading this test and doing this example on Kurzweil3000.com. This can also work on the desktop client. We know a lot of students out there may have a Chromebook or an iPad or a PC or a Mac product. Kurzweil3000.com is ideal for that. So we're just going to go ahead and load on the web version. Now, there are multiple ways to capture this PDF. If you think about it, it may come through the internal LMS, Canvas, Blackboard. It may come in through the institution's cloud service. I've heard of OneDrive, or it may be emailed, given as a flash drive. So in this scenario, this test has already been handed off to me. I've downloaded it onto my desktop, and I'll be grabbing this PDF live to answer the test. So I'm gonna go ahead to Kurzweil3000.com, log in. Here's my welcome to the Universal Library. I'm going to take my test, so there's no need for me now to go to my folder. I'm going to go over to, I could grab this test from Google Drive, if that's where the teacher assigned it, and bring it in. In this scenario, I'm just going to go to my computer, go to my file, and this is the test that we'll be taking. Kurzweil is now reading it, OCRing it.
Shaughn, I'm just going to interrupt for a second here and let people get caught up. Some people were saying they weren't able to hear us speaking. And what you should do, if that is the case, is go up to the tab that says audio, uncollapse, and then click computer audio.
All right.
Doesn't even let me click.
I have selected computer audio. Do you hear me better?
No.
That's just not good. It was working perfectly. Corey, am I any better?
Well, yeah, I'm hearing you. And we've just got a few people, and somebody just said called it in. So if you also go to the audio and call in, you will be able to hear as well. And so maybe it's your computer, your audio on your computer is not.
No.
Okay. Who's ever speaking, we can hear you.
All right. Should I just continue?
Yes, at this point, continue. And
Okay.
let me remind everybody, it is being recorded.
All right. Now we've had the test loaded. I'm going to go over here to the tools, and let's talk about tools I can use for this test. My highlighters, I can have a yellow, green, blue, pink, orange, and gray. The difference between these highlighters, if I select yellow and make an answer selection, the good part is I see yellow. A thought is if I'm going to print this as a teacher and print it off from my printer, and I have a black and white printer, the yellow will not show. So it may be suggested that a student be advised to select gray. That way it's saved as gray, but if I print it off as in a black and white printer, that gray highlight will remain. Food for thought. But I'm able to answer this test. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Of course, I'm going to start from Kurzweil. You may not be able to rehear this, but so the benefit is I'm having the test read to me. I don't think the audio is awesome on this, so we'll know that Kurzweil does very well to read the question, read the answers, then I can make my selection. Other selections that I'm able to use, the line out. I can cross out, maybe this will help me. Yes. This may help me to deselect answers. Going to erase that.
Connor.
Use my gray highlighter and answer the test. Next tool, our text box. Of course, I need to put my name on this test. So the text box, I went to my document notes, text box. I can go ahead and create here. Put in my name, another text box. today's date. If I were preparing this test as it already is a KESI file, I'm the teacher, I could actually make a note for the student that may appear. This would only show up if I converted this to the Kurzweil.kesi file, so it'd show for the student. If I brought it in raw like I did just now, this would not show because it's a raw PDF. I just want to share that tidbit in case it was prepped by a teacher in Kurzweil or an instructor or an AT specialist. Go ahead and zero out. So now we're going through the test, selecting my answers. Now I have a section here that's asking true or false. So I'll answer that. Grab my text box. I have it read to me again in the example. Number 2. (13). I could use speech to text. True. If I wanted to do that. And of course, I can answer my last one. So I've continued on. I'm going to my next page to continue the test. If you notice, I've already filled out some of my areas as they've shown for the true and false. Essays. Here are options for essays. So if it's a short essay, I may be able to make a text box as I did here and fill those in. Sorry about that. I had my text box open. So this is already, these are already, I answered with a text box. Question 1, answer 1, and all I did was make a text box out of it. So I could do question 4. Or if I need to fill out more information, then I would recommend opening up a new document and having it labeled as the rest of this test and fill out question 1 and as a normal document there and save it as a Word document or PDF from that standpoint. Go ahead and so now I have filled out my test. Now it is time to save this test and turn it in. So I'm going to simply go up to my save the document. If I want to save this back to Google Drive, I can do so. And I can select, I want to change it to a PDF format and save it back to my drive if I chose to do that. But in this scenario, I'm just going to save this PDF. So now I'm going to go to my tool, to my document view, download format, PDF. Notice PDF appears at the bottom of my screen. Open that up so you can see this. There's my name. There's today's date. There's a circle. There's the note that I offered my student. Here are my highlights. True and false. Answer 4. So as you notice, this PDF test is complete. It's whole. It did not change. That's why Corey and I wanted to have a discussion. A document may have those spacing issues, but with a PDF, Kurzweil works beautifully with it and is able to fill in the information as needed. And of course, I can now save this as a PDF. This guy, excuse me.
Shaughn, quick question, and I just want to, before I answer, I just wanted to make sure you are logged in as a teacher right now, correct?
Yes, the same thing that happened as a student if the student
Okay.
had their own account. Great question. Right. But if you notice now, I'm going to save this to my desktop. Now I can turn in this test in any fashion as I want, back to the OneDrive scenario or back to my LMS system, whatever the normal format is. Now let's share about locking. I want to share with you if I had a test that was locked. So this is already a locked document. This will be another discussion of how to lock this. This is that same test locked. And what was selected, I'm going to the same area of the document view, locked features. So I pre-locked this test. I will give you some advice. If you choose to lock a test, I would make a copy first, send that copy and rename it as your locked test, and then do this preparation, because if you lock your original, you cannot unlock it. So if you're a teacher in a teacher mode and want to lock a test, I would recommend copying that test and then locking it. So you'll notice I prevented copying, reading. I had reading aloud. I'm allowed to use speech to text. From the online resource, I'm blocking Google Drive. From the library aspect, I'm allowing you open from Universal Drive. But I'm allowing translation, I'm allowing dictionary. So what that means, when I go to dictionary, these are highlighted. I'm able to use them, but notice synonyms is blocked. So how I lock this, I will show you. Go back to Universal Library. Two options. I can go once I log in, go to the help menu, select Kurzweil Academy, Educators Lounge, next tab, scroll down a bit, account features locked. These two videos here will save you an enormous amount of time, as well as how did Shaughn do that. These are those videos. So that's why we're not discussing how to do it intentionally, because we want to keep this video short so that individuals can say, this is how I take a test, and go ahead and turn it in. The same access is available from our homepage, kurzweiledu.com, Academy, Kurzweil Academy, Educators Lounge, and same access. So I just want to share two ways to find that if needed. All right, that's what I have for this webinar. It is now time for questions and answers if needed. Corey?
The majority of the questions I was able to answer. The question section for me to look at is quite small, so I don't think I missed any of the questions, but most of the issue was the sound. A lot of people said, yes, we were hearing you. A lot of people said the audio wasn't working. If they did get it working halfway through, the next most prominent question was, when will the recording be ready? So the recording is going to be ready either later today or tomorrow. And Lynn, you can confirm this, that those will be sent out to all the attendees and those who had registered.
I noticed on the chat secured. So the secure and the password are on those same videos. Great question, and that will be a topic we will go through in a week or so too, right? You know on that one, Lynn?
Yeah, just one quick thing too. Someone just asked how to allow saving of the test in multiple locations.
How to say that one more time?
How to allow saving of the test in multiple locations.
So what would be in multiple locations besides where? I guess I'm understanding.
I think how to save to multiple folders. I will say that next week, Denise will be going over that in detail as it relates to writing. So you can copy tests to multiple folders, and then the student can put it back in.
Well, and
Yes.
I think, let me pop in there too, Shaughn. So if you open a document and you go to download the format, which you did demonstrate. So at that point, you can download it, let's say as a PDF or as a Word document, as a Google Drive, and then choose where to save it on your computer. So you can use Kurzweil's Universal Library to store things and distribute that to students. Or if you have the document opened, you can then download that in a variety of formats and then save it to your computer. I think that is what we were, the question.
I believe that. And this would be that scenario as a teacher. I'm copying to multiple those students that I would like to deliver this test to. I can select them and deliver that to them. But this is a subject matter we will continue on in another demonstration. That to make sure we answer it correctly. But that is how I would deliver material to multiple students if I'm using Kurzweil. Great question though, because it's very common. We want to make sure that we're handling how a test will be delivered for individuals that do not use Kurzweil. Maybe it's a professor or instructor that I have a test for you to take and they do not know much about Kurzweil, or a student is new to Kurzweil. How do I take this test?
And another similar question, it could be the same person. Where does the student save the file? What Shaughn demonstrated and what the student would learn is to download that as a PDF, for instance, and then save that to their computer.
So once I download, save that, I can now move this if I want to a file that's more appropriate for me as a student. So if I have subject matter, my file is set up for science, I can move my test to my science.
Right, that's a good point, Shaughn. So you can save it to your own computer if you choose not to use the Kurzweil platform in storage,
Yes.
universal storage, and you can also copy it to Google Drive as well.
Yes, which I share. So I think we covered what we wanted to on how to take a test. So that anyone that do not understand how I did the filling out boxes and the other information, I want to make sure we clarified the process for answering tests. That's what's most valuable. We get a lot of questions about this. How do I really answer the questions?
Here's a question that came in, Shaughn. Oh, is it possible to set a time, like a timer on a document, so that then it is removed from a Kurzweil folder? Let me just make sure I got that whole question from Austin. Oh, from a Kurzweil profile. He's asking, and we've received this question often, can you put a timer on it so that at the end of this date, the document will be removed? No, you cannot. Although it's requested frequently enough, I would hope that would be something in the future. But you can set a password on it so that the document cannot be opened without a password. And then the password can be changed after the student has opened it. And the student can't do that. That could only be the teacher that can do that. It's not an ideal workaround, but it does allow for a similar function than having the document timed out. And you can set it so that the document can't be copied, it can't be printed, so that just the student who has logged in can take that and can't distribute.
Correct. And we talked, that's also in our Kurzweil 101 video. that we made a couple weeks ago or last week in our YouTube channel.
Okay, Shaughn, I think that is the questions. Let me check the chat just to be sure that I'm just jumping back and forth. Right. So we're going to go a little deeper next week or in one of the successive webinars on the whole lock features and how to make a test secure. And again, if that is of imminent importance, please email me. I will very quickly, since it's buried now, provide my email address, corey.navis@kurzweiledu.com. Feel free to grab that and email me with any additional questions, or I'll get that distributed to the correct person. And again, some people came in, they didn't get their sound working right away, so they tried calling in, which worked for some. I don't know if that worked for everyone, but the recording will be sent out to everyone.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And again, don't hesitate to reach out with additional questions.